Hello, everyone, and welcome to the SHAPE West Virginia Student Conference. My name is Julia Tracy, and I am a professor at Shepherd University in the Physical Education Teacher Education program.
And hi, I am Andrew Barnett. I am also a professor here at Shepherd University, and I'm in the sports and sports marketing program. And we're here today to go over resumes.
All right, so we're going to talk to you today about resumes. What is a resume? What are some basics you need to know about a resume? Things you should avoid, and basic formatting information.
So we're just going to go over your basic, what you need for a resume there.
Okay, so what is a resume? So let's start with that. Basically, you are giving a potential employer a snapshot of what you and your qualifications are for a specific position. You can look at your resume as sort of a 30-second marketing tool. This is your first impression for an employer, and you want to create a document that's going to get you that interview.
Yes, that is correct. The main thing is you want to get to the second part of this, and that is the interview. So again, this is your first impression of what you have and what you put into your resume there. Always remember, you're not the only one that has submitted a resume. So you want your resume to be attracted to the employer, that it catches their eye, your first impression.
Okay, so let's talk about some basics of your resume. You want to keep your resume very professional. Simple is sometimes better. You want to use white or off-white resume paper. Resume paper is a little bit thicker than your basic printer paper, and this shows that you kind of took that extra step towards professionalism. You really want to keep your resume to 1 to 2 pages, and you have to be careful not lowering your font too small so that you can get more information on. You want to keep that font size between 10 and 12. Too small and they're not going to be able to read it. And you really want to keep it to the basic professional fonts: Times New Roman, Arial, Calibri.
Correct. And the other thing that I always tell my students in class is they stores have professional resume paper. So if you have some money, I advise you to go get that resume paper. It looks good when you take that extra step to go out and purchase resume paper there. Because you remember, you want your resume to be very attractive and you want it to catch the eye of the employee there. So putting it on resume paper would do something like that.
Okay, so continuing with some resume basics, you want to make sure the information that you're putting on your resume is relevant to that potential employer or to that job. Um, it's a good idea to use bullets rather than long narrative sentences. It just takes up too much space and it's too difficult to read. Bullets are a little more eye-catching. You want to try to use action verbs and adjectives when you're describing yourself or your experiences. And for sure, you've got to proofread. You can't rely on autocorrect or spell check to pick up all your mistakes. That's going to be a definite bad thing if an employer sees a mistake on there. There's not an excuse for that.
Correct. The other thing I wanted to add with this is only include relevant information that is with the job description. The other things that I tell my student is go and look at the job that they posted. So if you do that, then you want to have your information relevant to that job description. So best thing to do is look at that job description. And in that job description, it's going to tell you what they are looking for. and then you can write your information relevant to that job description there. So the job posting is so important.
Okay, some things you want to avoid on your resume. You don't need to add the high school. You want to avoid personal information. The only thing you're going to give them is your name and your address. Avoid personal pronouns. You don't want to talk about salary. Try not to be repetitive. And you really have got to be honest, and you do not want to put any falsehoods on there.
Yeah, yeah. When going back, remember, do not put anything about your high school. Employers know that you already have graduated from high school. If you didn't, you wouldn't be in college right now. So anything on about your high school, you want to leave that out. The other thing is remember that the information that you're putting in there, that it is accurate information that you're putting in, and you do not want to put anything that is not of you on your resume there.
Okay, standard headings. Again, this is your very basic standard headings for a beginning resume. So you have your contact information, you have your resume summary, and sometimes if there's space, you can put your objective or vice versa. You want to have your work experience, your education, and your skills.
Yes, those are going to be your standard headings there. Contact information, resume, summary, work experience, education, and skills. But those are just your standard headings. There are other headings that you can use if you want, if you have that on there. You can use other standards headings for your resume there. So we're just saying those are just your standard that you have there.
Okay, so starting with your contact header, this is where you can be a little bit creative. You can, when you put your name, you want to make sure your name is in a larger font than the rest of the contact header. You want to include your address, both permanent and mailing if you have both. And if you have an email address, you want to make sure you remove the hyperlink on that. We don't want it to look underlined or blue or different from the rest of it. You want to kind of keep it seamless.
Yes. And don't forget, it's so important. Do not abbreviate any addresses there. Only thing that you want to abbreviate will be the state there. Don't cut yourself short. And that's what employers would think if you use abbreviation for everything. They think you always cutting short on things. So you don't want to abbreviate anything, only the state. The other thing that is your email address. Please use a professional email address. We don't want, employers don't want to see bigpapa.com or littlemama.com. They want a professional email address. And that can be your school address. You can use your school address, or you can make another professional email address there. So make sure you use a professional email address.
Okay, so the resume summary, like I had mentioned prior, you can have an objective, and that's usually one sentence, and that's fine. That should reflect, like Dr. Barnett had said, the job description, and that's usually one sentence. If you have space, you can put this summary in there, and the summary allows you to personalize a little bit, and so you don't want to go any more than 5 sentences. That's a pretty big summary. You want to keep it around 3. This is the one place where you can have complete sentences, but you still want to avoid some of those filler type words. So you want to keep this very concise. And so we're using some of those adjectives, sort of active voice type adjectives, things like enthusiastic, energetic, self-motivated. Keep it relevant to the job that you're looking for. And up here, I have a few examples for beginning statements. And many of you who are just graduating college won't have a ton of experience. So these are some examples that were written for individuals who haven't had a ton of experience or are just coming out of college.
Correct, yeah. And again, you must keep it relevant to the position that you're going for. And again, it's just a statement that you are telling the employee exactly what you can offer them at the place of an employment there. You might see resumes that do not have a summary statement. That's okay also. It's just up to you if you want to have a summary there on your resume there.
Okay, your education heading. This one is pretty simple. You want to make sure that you're putting your most recent degree first. You're going to list the school name, the location, dates attended. If there's a graduation date, if you're putting out resumes before you completed it, you go ahead and put your graduation date or your expected graduation date. You want to put the degree, GPA, and you could put a few bullets of some academic honors or relevant coursework that go along with that degree or what you did at that school.
Yes, and this is another example here where you put in your school name and your city and state. Again, don't abbreviate, especially with physical education majors. You have a tendency just to put PE. You want to spell that out. Make sure you spell that out and just don't put PE on there. Some other things with your education, you don't want to, again, do not put your high school on there because we already know you had graduated from high school. So, and the other thing, if you have went to a 2-year college or junior college, you can put that on here because that is where you started your college career there.
And we want to make sure the GPA, if you have below a 3.5, maybe not put that.
Correct. Yes. Yes. Because again, once you get to the interview, that's something that you can talk about there in the interview.
Okay, so next is where you're going to put your experience. Similar to your education, you're going to put your most recent job experience first. Keep it relevant. You don't want to put any personal information like a supervisor's name or a boss or a phone number. All that information can go in your reference page, which is a separate document from your resume. And Dr. Barnett will talk a little bit more about specific relevant job experience.
Correct. Yeah. And on here with the little bullet points that remember, you want to use adjectives showing them what you have done there. So again, you developed something, you maintain something, you did assessment, you perform, you prepare. These are all adjectives. Make sure you started off with an adjective there. The other thing, when we're looking at relevant information there, you see as a director of athletics at physical education, instructor in physical education instructor. So I'm assuming that this position is looking for a physical education instructor there. So you want to have any experience that is related to physical education or being a teacher or being a substitute teacher. That is the type of information you want to put on there for experience. Now, if I was a clerk at a grocery store, if I was a babysitter, I would not put that information there because that information is not relevant to what that job posting is. So the job posting is looking for a teacher, an instructor. So anything that I have done that where I am the teacher, where I am an instructor, I will put that information there as an experience.
Okay, next we have skills. This is where you're going to list, again, making sure it's relevant to the job. You're going to put a list of skills that you have. You want to try to make sure you incorporate soft skills and hard skills. Soft skills are those type of skills like, think of them as people skills, communication, leadership, problem solving, organized. And then your hard skills are more of like your technical knowledge or your training? Can you make sure you have a little bit of a balance of both? And on the slide here, you'll see that there are some examples of those types of skills, both hard and soft skills.
Yes, the skills are so important because this make what you do at your job there. So make sure that you can do those skills that you're putting on there. For example, if I'm an individual that I love working by myself, I get things done by myself, I'm not going to put teamwork on there because the job might want me to work with people in a group and I'm not comfortable working in a group. So I won't put teamwork on there. So make sure that you are comfortable with the skills that you are putting on there.
Okay, and the last part we have here are honors and activities. We are emphasizing those activities or honors relevant to the job. You want to include dates, and you can have subcategories or subheadings within your honors and activities, or you can just create specific headings within there, such as publications, conferences, professional development, professional memberships, affiliations, and awards. You can separate those out rather than having one big heading, especially if you have a lot to fill in there.
Yes, the other thing that we need to talk about is conferences, professional development, and professional membership. If you are a member of your state association, a member of your district association, or a member of the national association, if you did anything at a conference, you presented at a conference, if you wrote for your school newspaper in college there, all of that is important to put on there because that's what that is telling the employee that you are up to date on the new things and the new teaching, the new skills that is happening within your professional there. So make sure you are a professional within that membership there, that you are a member of your state association there, your district association or the national association. Go to conferences again. The other thing that you might want to do is if you had any professional development that you did, any grant writing that you did, you want to put that on there.
And I did want to mention for work experience, I forgot to say you can put student teaching as work experience. So
Yes.
looking back there at experience. And that is it for our slides today. What I want you to remember is that this was really the basics of resume. There are all kinds of templates and resources on the internet, which are great. But I want you to make sure when you're using those resources, make sure you're a cyber skeptic. Just because something looks like a really great template may not be the right template for this job. This is usually most likely going to be an educational setting. You want to keep it professional, keep it educational, but definitely make sure you're considering your source when you're looking at templates and things like that. I know that Microsoft Word has some templates, and even Google has some pretty basic templates. So just make sure you're a cyber skeptic and it's not too busy and you're following these guidelines to keep it professional.
Yes. And another thing is make sure that, and when we talked about this, that you keep all your information that you put on your resume that is relevant to the job that has been offered. Again, look at that job posting because that job posting will have everything that that employee is looking for. And then you want to tailor your resume around that job posting there. Another thing that I always tell my students is if you're fortunate enough, there is a career center on your campus. Make sure you get in touch with the career center. They are there to help you put together a resume for that job there. They will edit your resume for you, tell you what you need to put in, what you need to take out. So I encourage you to go and get in contact with your career center there on your college campus there. And that is all that we have. again, if you have more questions or you have anything that you would like to ask us, you can contact us here at Shepherd University.
Yep. Thank you so much. Appreciate